Good morning, welcome to Radio Maria Ireland. Thank you for your company today. Nice to have you with us on Facebook and YouTube live as well for our Chatechesis Saturday morning, the 5th of November. And in the liturgical calendar it says it's the feast day of Saint Martin de Porres, but I think it should be the 3rd of November. So we had this situation last year. We weren't sure when St. Martin was exactly going to be celebrated or not celebrated. But we'll chat about him very shortly as well.
Wonderful.
Good morning, Róisín, and welcome.
Good morning, Father. Wonderful to be back. Thank you.
Very good. Great. She's got her bright red Gansey on her today with blue stripes there for her jockey Gansey, I suppose. Suitable for a Saturday and Saturday racing and all that. I just remember horse racing is always Saturdays.
Handmade jumpers, Father.
Indeed.
I'm knitting them for my grandsons now, and they're.
Fantastic.
I have to wear them, Granny.
Oh no, they should appreciate it. Go and wear it.
I asked Connor, was he wearing his one? Yeah, I wear it at night in bed.
That's the appreciation again. Well, good, it's keeping you warm, I guess. The thing in my house was put that on you there now and walk up and down till I see you.
Oh,
that was the thing.
I say that to them in future.
Yeah, I'd have to model it for them. Walk up the hall and down the hall and show me now what it looks like. And you'd be sort of on the catwalk, you know. Anyway, all to the good, all to the good. So now, good to have you with us today. Saint Martin, a favourite saint of our newly wedded couple.
Oh,
Aisling's dad, his name is Martin, and I think named after Saint Martin. And I think part of the reason why they got married on the feast of Saint Martin de Porres on Thursday. It was a lovely occasion. Married in Knock, of course, in the parish church, and Father Richard is the parish priest of Knock as well as the rector of the shrine. And so he was there. Father Jamie, familiar to our listeners
Father
here.
Jamie from here, Father.
Indeed.
Lovely.
And Father Conor MacDonagh as well. So Father Conor was the chief celebrant.
Wonderful.
And he preached a very good homily. I think Aidan got a recording of it. I'm not sure if it's radio quality to play back or not, but we can see.
Yeah.
And he gave a rounding endorsement, I must say, of Radio Maria.
Oh, fantastic.
Utterly biased.
Oh, fantastic.
But indirectly so, because he, I don't know if you remember, they were, when Aisling was here working with us, she had a show with a friend of hers, Chrissy, who was her bridesmaid, chief bridesmaid. And the show was Talitha Coombe.
Oh, yes, I do remember that, yes.
Show for the girls to talk about their faith journey.
Yes.
And of course, Joe had a show then with Brendan called Verso l'Alto.
Yes, yes.
After, who's that saint who liked climbing mountains, or saint in waiting? I have his face, his name will come back to me. That was one of his things, Verso l'Alto, meaning towards the heights. And, you know, a good kind of young men's.
Oh, they were a fantastic couple. They are a fantastic couple, Father.
But Father Conor will be doing his research on the website, because, I mean, I hadn't listened back to these things in a while. It's going back a couple of years, I suppose, when these shows were on air. But they did a combined show of kind of Talitha Alto or something, or Verso Coombe, or I don't know what, they mixed up the thing. And so it was the boys and the girls, or the men, the young men and the young women.
All together.
And they had an opportunity to cross-examine each other.
Oh, wow.
You know, it was a very entertaining show, I remember. And he was just commenting on it as part of the homily to say how, you know, the girls were asking the boys, for instance, what is it with young men wearing shorts in the winter time, you know? What is the deal there? Like, it was kind of an opportunity to ask those things that you wouldn't otherwise ask. And apparently Joe got involved in gusto in the conversation. One of his questions were, you know, why do girls go out and buy lovely new clothes and then bring them home and then return them? Like, what's that about exactly? And why is it girls seem to go around in groups? You know, they seem to go in sort of little.
That's true.
So it's very entertaining. But you know, he brought that up, and in fairness, he was very impressed. They did obviously go into more serious topics, and I think one of Joe's questions was, how is it that young men can be of greater support to young women? What should we be doing? You know, a nice little insightful.
Yes.
What would the women expect of us young men, let's say?
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
So fine young couple, and like, it was just very entertaining to hear that.
Oh, I'm sure they enjoyed that, Father.
Oh yeah, the place was in knots. We're having a great time. And just a beautiful ceremony with lovely music, some of the kind of music, the more modern, say, sort of Christian or worship music that you would hear us play here. and a full church. So very impressive. There was two impressive moments I might share with you that I found quite extraordinary. It was all very sort of solemn, I suppose, in a prayerful in its rightful way. But after they were married, Father Connor says, I now present to you Mr. and Mrs. Barco, And just the roar that went up from the congregation, because of course all the young friends were there. And it struck me as a kind of a scriptural, jubilant, it wasn't in any way, it wasn't in any way irreverent, I thought, or not in keeping, they say, decorum in the church and so on. I just thought it was just a spontaneous, from the heart, like,
beautiful.
We're totally with you in this,
Absolutely.
A real affirmation from the community. So I thought it was a lovely kind of...
they're a wonderful couple, Father.
Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely,
yeah, there's no doubt they're lovely friends. The other impressive moment, just two to mention for our Chatechesis today, was the speeches at the wedding. And very impressed, the dad, so Ashling's dad and Joe's dad both spoke.
All right.
And very well and well able. But here's the two of them quoting scripture, and not only just, a phrase of scripture, but chapter and verse.
Wow.
So from the letter to the Romans and from the prophet Jeremiah. Their favourite little, and they had chapter and verse. So don't ask me to remember them now myself, but
wow.
And I was like, man, this is a wedding with a difference.
My goodness, so that's how Father Joe and Aisling were here then, obviously, Radio Maria. They were interested in God.
Sure, two very good dads, obviously, and obviously very good mums too, just very solid families, So most encouraging. And they were saying how, a good number of their friends weren't particularly in the faith, as they say.
That's true. That's so
and it just would have been a lovely moment for them as well to see the joy of coming together in faith. Very, very impressive.
The young people nowadays, they don't understand it, Father. They don't really, because there's so much other things going on out there.
There is a lot to distract them, a lot to mislead them, let's say.
That's it.
But this certainly would have brought them right back to the faith. And we've got some lovely photos. I don't know if you saw the...
I saw the lovely one of them cutting the cake.
Yes, very nice too.
It was beautiful.
And we got a group, kind of a Radio Maria shot.
Oh, so did you? Let's have a look at that.
Mark and Mary were there, and Fiona, Killalea, let's see who's in, Eva was there, myself and Aidan, obviously Joe and Aisling, Mary Kate, remember Mary Kate, who used to work here as well? She was there for the wedding. So it's nice to catch up on old and existing
fantastic
Radio Maria staff and so on.
Yes.
So it's a lovely little gathering, I must say, a lovely occasion.
Yeah, I would have loved to have gone down, Father, but I had to mind Senan.
Oh, yes.
Yes, Senan and Chris, my son, I love him. He had a new knee and he couldn't drive down to Galway, and he had to go to work in Galway.
All right.
So his wife was going to drive him down, which he did. So because they're off school, Senan and Matthew are off school, so I got to mind Senan for 2 days.
Oh, there you are,
day and night.
The responsibility of being a grandparent.
Yes.
And a lovely responsibility, I suppose it is too.
Oh, it's a joy. He loves coming up. He didn't want to go home. He wanted to stay.
Of course, he was being spoiled rotten, I'm sure. Anyway, that lovely sense of sort of family that you're describing there, even and at the wedding, to just the power and the value and the dignity of family life, just lovely.
Wonderful.
So they got married on the feast of Saint Martin de Porres, and he's very popular, of course, a Dominican saint, and very appealing. So they're obviously invoking his intercession. And let me just get a little bit about Martin de Porres. Was great with the poor, as so many of the saints are, and a great miracle worker in his own time too. So 1639, he was never ordained. He was a lay brother, in the Dominicans, and it says here, the illegitimate son of a Spanish grandee, I'm not sure what that means exactly, and of Ana Velasquez, of Lima in Peru. So mixed race parents.
Father and mother.
And Martin apprenticed himself to a barber surgeon Oh, could be a barber surgeon. Oh, that worked exactly.
Hair cutter.
Yeah, that's right. Surgical hair transplants. They didn't have them, I'm sure, in those days. But some years later, he joined the Dominicans as a lay helper. But his life, especially his dedication to the poor, was so impressive that he was invited to make profession as a lay brother. He would spend his nights in prayer and penance, sometimes accompanied by visions and ecstasies. His days in nursing the sick and the plague-stricken, working for his monastery as the barber, of course, from his experience. You know, John Carlin belongs to a barber family.
Oh,
and
really?
He tells me he's pretty handy at cutting hair.
Oh, very good.
I might chance him for a haircut someday. See how we get on. So a barber and a gardener and a counsellor, above all caring for the poor, irrespective of race and colour. His cures seemed miraculous, and his control of animals prodigious. His own community recognised his holiness to such an extent that they accepted his spiritual direction. They called him Father of Charity, but he called himself Mulatto Dog. I don't know what that means exactly, maybe a kind of a pet name or something. So he died at the age of 60 of a fever, and his veneration by the faithful was immediate and spontaneous. Miraculous cures were claimed at his tomb, and they quickly began a canonical inquiry, in other words, a legal inquiry into his life. And this led eventually to his beatification and canonization in the end by Pope John the 23rd as recently as 1962. So he's the patron saint of race relations, obviously not due to any political or revolutionary activity, but it's simply
Dad being different.
Correct, and his service of the different races in Lima in Peru. So there you are. So you've heard of St. Rose of Lima, St. Martin de Porres of Lima as well.
Magnificent.
I think if you go into St. Saviour's here in Dublin, they have a shrine to St. Martin de Porres, and certainly in Cork they have a special shrine in the Dominican Church again to St. Martin. Very, very popular.
They probably have one up in Tala now, but I haven't been up there for a while, Father.
Oh, true, yes, they surely have.
Beautiful Dominican church up there, yes. The village.
Yes. And I know he's popular. There's the St. Martin's magazine, of course. I don't know if you ever get that or seen that. It's a very popular little devotional magazine that's available through the Dominicans. And you see petitions or answers to prayer coming in.
When you're there in the church, there's always one there for you.
Yeah, that's right. I think people pass them around and leave them lying around for others to read. Yeah. So it was lovely to have their wedding feast day. But again, the confusion on the liturgical calendar, it says today is the feast day, but Thursday is, so I don't ask me what's going on there. In fact,
maybe have two feast days the same day.
Maybe it is. But while I was in Knock, I picked up next year's liturgical calendar.
Right.
I'll just show it to the camera because this little book is very useful for it, kind of like your Magnificat, I suppose, really, Róisín, for all the details. There's one of these usually in every sacristy. Every priest will have one probably at home too. All the days of the year and all the feast days, everything is listed, and all the Irish saints too.
They're all acknowledged then, you know.
What I will do, I'll look up the 3rd of November and the 5th of November for
next year.
Next year, 2023. And look, it says the 5th of November is a Sunday. Because today's Saturday. So it says St. Martin de Porres is not celebrated this year. And so for the 3rd of November, no, it's St. Malachi. Maybe, St. Malachi is down, he's a feast day, of course, for Armagh, but a memorial for the rest of the country. Does he bump St. Charles or St. Martin de Porres? I don't know. So I'm a bit confused. I'll have to, if any experts, liturgical experts, want to correct
give a bit of information if we need it.
Maybe they've just moved his feast day for other reasons. But apparently it used to be the 3rd of November. Anyway.
Right.
We won't get too upset about it. Anyway,
no, absolutely not. Once absolutely people pray to him, ask him for prayers and all. Wonderful.
Yeah, that's it, exactly. So I just recommend the liturgical calendar for next year to you as just a handy little resource document. I'm going to be ploughing through it today and tomorrow, working through for our Radio Maria calendar for 23. Yes, and my hope is that our radio calendar will be a kind of a liturgical resource. It's hanging in your kitchen or in your front room or wherever, and you'll know by the colours kind of the feast or season of the year, and you'll know what feast day it is, and we'll put some nice little images in there to help you along as well. So it's an attempt at a kind of our calendar that is a liturgical one, and we'll be giving those away free, gratis and for nothing. As always, to all our kind benefactors, to everybody who's on our database. I've just been working through that, and I might just mention for everybody, I've been working through that list of our database. We have over 4,000 names in there, I'd say.
Wow,
4,500, give or take. Part of the problem is that we have only partial names and partial addresses for quite a few. There'll be several hundred now. They're just partial details that you've kindly written to us, or you sent us in a donation, and maybe you wanted to be anonymous in that, which is fine too. That's okay. But if it is that you'd like to receive one of our calendars and we don't already have your contact details, send them in to us. We'll add them to the list and we'll gladly send you out a calendar. It'll be probably into December by the time they become available. But we have a lot of work to do in the meantime to knock it all into shape. Big shout out to Sarah Moynihan. Sarah was at the wedding too, actually.
Lovely.
And full of life there with her fiancé, Mario. And of course she's getting married at the end of December in Medjugorje.
Oh yes.
We claim it anyway as a Radio Maria wedding.
Oh, she's a fantastic girl. Yes,
lovely
God bless her, yes.
And she's been doing fabulous work in her free time, helping. She did the wedding booklet for Joe and Ashley. Nice little, simple, beautifully done. And she's been doing preparing the work for the calendar. She did the first calendar for us. Ruth did last year's one, so she's helping us to do it, which is a terrific relief. Sarah, God bless you, because we just we don't have a full-time promoter now, so we just couldn't get to do it. So thank you, thumbs up to Sarah. So that work is ongoing, and please God will be over the line in time to get out in the post. So if we don't have your contact details, just let us know. We'll gladly send you one. If you'd like more than one, as some do, again, you can let us know as well, and we'll start building up a little spreadsheet with your name on if you want multiple copies, and we'll get an idea how many we needed to order. I think the first year we ordered 3,000, I think it was 3,000, and they all went out like hotcakes. Last year we ordered 5,000, and they out the door like hotcakes.
Oh, it's beautiful. Last year's one is beautiful. Nice this year's going, it's beautiful.
It's good. It's a nice little format, and so I'm thinking this year we might go for 6,000 maybe, and see how we do, and bring them along on our promotions to give away.
Be thrilled with them, Father.
When we do that, they get absolutely gobbled up. They just gone out the door. So there's never any left over. So get your name in it. Now, have you seen our lovely new Christmas cards, Róisín?
I did. I saw them downstairs, Father, and they're absolutely beautiful. Nice, So there's 4 different types, isn't it?
There's 4 different types, so I showed them to the camera. These nice little blue ones. You hold that one there, Róisín, there for everybody. So these nice little sort of blue type silhouette ones. You can see them, I hope, there. You can see it on the picture there as well, Róisín. Really nice, just the Holy Family and the night sky and the stars shining, and looks like snow there, but maybe it's sand. Anyway, they're on their journey to Bethlehem. Those the 2 nice ones, and the 2 lovely coloured ones then as well that you.
This is magnificent,
nice
Father. I thought that was absolutely magnificent.
So nice little Christmas nativity scenes there in little statues. So if you'd like to, there's 4 cards, and 3 times 4 in a bundle. I'll hold up a bundle there so you can see the bundle here, and if you'd like to order a bundle of these, if you want to collect them, there's 12 in a bundle with 12 envelopes. They're a biggish size.
They are, yes, they're beautiful.
I suppose that's A4, A5, half A4 size, so they're fine and big. Plenty of room to write your Christmas message in, and a little religious theme, and a little plug for Radio Maria on the back, of course, because of Radio Maria cards. So please do, if you'd like to get a bundle, there's €7.50 is the suggested donation. So it's always, we don't sell things at Radio Maria, it's just a donation. So if you'd like to make that donation, you can. And I think there's a cheaper price for multiple copies. I don't have that number in my head. But if you'd like to receive them in the post, we'll post them out to you. If you can donate €10, it'll actually cover the cost of postage as well, hopefully. So do please let us know if you'd like some Radio Maria Christmas cards. And again, all the proceeds are helping us in our radio ministry.
Absolutely.
So again,
beautiful, Father. My gosh, I've never seen his cards as nice.
They're nice. They're nice and tastily done. Aidan did a lot of work there now, kind of whittling down the images and putting them together. So please do. If it's just a lovely way to support us, and we're very grateful indeed. We're trying every hook or by crook way of
keep the show on the road, Father.
Keep it going. So if you'd like some Christmas cards, let us know. Again, a big shout out. There was a lovely coffee morning yesterday in Macroom, my previous parish of some years ago now. But thanks to Catherine Sheehan and to Margaret Griffin and to others, she had a little team around. I was chatting to her on the phone yesterday. And they raised €1,300 for the radio. It's a lovely sum of money. I think they had a little raffle going as well, and a few little spot prizes or something along those lines, and very well supported. So big shout out, big thank you to the priests in Macroom again allowing the use of the Pastoral Centre, and to Catherine and to Margaret and to all her gallant helpers and all who supported it and all who encouraged as well. So we're very, very grateful indeed. And God bless you all. So pleased, and it's something we would love to see replicated. This is probably. I was asked the girls, Mary and Martina, have they kept a count of the number of coffee mornings? Because I think we're probably up to 8 or 9 that have been held now around the country.
Wonderful.
And just thrilled with that, and such a great help. So if it's something you think you might like to do, and it was Patricia McCarthy, I think, at Clonmel suggested, why not turn it into a cake sale as well as a coffee morning?
True, yes.
And bring along your own little homemade cake, and again, it'll be a nice little fundraiser. And speaking of which, and I'll get the full details from Patricia and maybe Mary Hooton, there is another coffee morning happening down in Waterford, and Super Value is we can give them a mention, have kindly offered to help sponsor it a little bit. I think they're hosting it maybe there. Yeah, I'm not sure the exact details. We'll get it all from Patricia.
Yes.
And the date and the time and the place, we'll get all those for you.
Brilliant. But
that's coming up down in Waterford in a couple of weeks' time, I think.
Wonderful.
So thank you so much, Patricia. Thanks, Mary, as well, and everybody else involved.
They're doing great work.
Patricia is a great shaker and a mover too.
Absolutely, fantastic.
So listen, very, very grateful. If it's something you can see your way to doing, please do. There is a book in the pipeline as well. I don't know if you're aware of that, Róisín. There's a number of us did little chapters of testimonies of Marian triumph, we've called it.
Wonderful.
And this week it's been pretty well edited to perfection. Mark McDermott, of course, works as an editor.
Yes,
that's his profession, so absolute perfectionist there. And there's been a lot of work in the background. Patricia Keane has been helping get it over the line.
Yes.
So a lovely 12-chapter book. I'd imagine it'll be a slim enough little volume, but again, by donation, and maybe a nice little Christmas gift for people.
That's
so
beautiful.
we're hoping
interesting now to see that.
There'll be a launch, hopefully, as soon as it's printed. Within the coming weeks, it's pretty much, if it hasn't gone to print, it's ready to go to print.
On the way to go. Wonderful.
So that's another item by way of helping the work of Radio Maria and spreading the good news of our work. And the Christmas party, Róisín.
Oh yes, coming up now.
Hope it's in your diary. It's the 14th of December on a Wednesday evening, I think starting at 6:30 in the Red Cow Hotel, and a full 4-course meal and entertainment afterwards, and a chance to meet and greet, and maybe even visit the studio if you're new to Radio Maria and you'd like to come visit. We're just across the road from the hotel, so it's very easy. So maybe we can fit all of those things in too. So we would love to see you at our Christmas party. €59 is the asking price for it there. Yes. And again, it's a fundraiser to help the radio make ends meet. So few little initiatives by way of trying to again get the word out, and we hope these things will become like the calendar, a kind of an annual feature.
Absolutely, a regular
of the radio.
Absolutely.
And again at your service, and again something very wholesome and very worthwhile in the way of promotion and the way of attending as well. So so thanks for that. So a little bit of commercial advertising kind of there, even though it's not really, because it's all like the readings. We might chat about the readings at Mass in relation to money maybe after a little break. So very good. So thanks for your company. Our contact details, Róisín, if anybody wants to give us.
Yes, you can telephone 014123456. And then again, if you want to text or WhatsApp, it's 08946720000. And if you're outside of Ireland and you'd like to telephone, or the north of Ireland, it's +353 14123456. And again, text or WhatsApp outside of Ireland or the north of Ireland, it's +353 89 467 2000. Or you can email info@radiomaria.ie.
Indeed, very good. So we'd like to hear from you. Thanks indeed. If you're listening back, even a repeat, do please get in touch. Now, a bit of Mark Forrest, a nice little piece we haven't heard, I don't think, for a little while. Doubly Good to You.
If you see the moon rising gently on your fields, if the wind blows softly on your face, if the sunset lingers while cathedral bells peal, and the moon has risen to her place, you can thank the Father for the things that He has done. Thank Him for the things He's yet to do. And if you find a love that's tender, if you find someone who's true, thank the Lord, He's been doubly good to you. And if you look in the mirror at the end of a hard day, and you know in your heart you have not lied, and if you gave love freely, if you earned an honest wage, and if you got Jesus by your side, you can thank the Father for the things that He has done, and thank Him for the things He's yet to do. And if you find love that's tender, if you find someone who's true, thank the Lord, He's been doubly good to you. You can thank the Father for the things that He has done, and thank Him for the things He's yet to do. And if you find a love that's tender, if you find someone who's true, thank the Lord, He's been doubly good to you. Thank the Lord, He's been doubly good to you.
Welcome back. Thanks for that, Thomas. That's doubly good to you there, Mark, for us. Beautiful piece of music. Thanks for being with us. So thanks to Mary Hooton. She just connected in with us there. She said it's in Dungarvan.
Oh, Dungarvan's beautiful.
Nice little spot. And Garvey's Super Value. We're going to give them a shout out because they're sponsoring the teas and coffees and the buns, I think, as well.
Fantastic, yeah.
So it's very kind of them now, I must say. If there are any supermarkets like that who I mean, that's helping the radio along in our work. And I don't mind giving a shout out because, again, it's a charitable offering and very, very much appreciated too. And great potential actually by way of evangelization of meeting the average regular customer to a supermarket who may never have heard of Radio Maria and might like to pop along, and you never know. You never know. So thanks for the God. Very kind of them and well done. And thank you for that. So Mary will give us more details as to when that is likely to be as well. Now, thanks a million to Father Michael Doyle. He's a friend, of course, of the radio here below in Wexford direction. Templeton Parish it is, a great friend of the radio. He says, yes, the feast of St. Martin de Porres is the 3rd of November, but by all accounts the Irish Church, I suppose the Irish liturgy, wanted to give the emphasis to St. Malachy, because St. Malachy would be up there ranking, I suppose, with St. Patrick and St. Bridget in those great Irish saints. So that would make sense. So thanks for that, Father Michael. So he's still the 3rd of November, strictly speaking, but they kind of pushed him across to the 5th, just so that St. Malachy and him can be friends, I guess, too. And indeed, thanks to Ulrika, she's listening in too, and she gave me the name of the saint I couldn't, or the blessed I couldn't think of, verso l'alto, to the heights, Blessed Pier Giorgio Frassati.
Oh, wonderful.
Again, a fine young saint in waiting, not unlike our good saint in waiting, Blessed Carlo Acutis, man for the Holy Eucharist. These are fine young men of our times who are witnessing to the faith. So listen, don't give up hope at all on the church and all the good that's going on, and the fine young witnesses to the faith there is. So thanks for that. Great to hear from you. Steffi is busy out at an event with the Knights of St. Columbanus and sent us in a little recording, which is probably a bit too long to share with you here, but we'll have to come back to it again. So there's a bit of promoting going on as we speak.
Absolutely fantastic.
Fine young lady with great energy and great go in her as well too. So marvellous altogether. So very good. Let's have a think. Yes, I was going to chat about the readings for today, and St. Paul, first of all, and his relationship with money. And he says, empty stomach or full stomach, he's learned to live with it.
Yes.
And Jesus then in the Gospel, he was thanking the Philippines, right? The Philippines, and saying thanks for the donation they sent and looking after him. And interesting, in his letters, he's not like us. He doesn't ask for funding. No. He's never begging for it. Now, to be fair, I suppose he was on his own in his mission, so there was just the one of him to mind. So probably easier to manage in terms of giving a bit of accommodation and a plate of dinner, if it came to it. There was no big churches or things, or he didn't have a big radio studio to mind either. So a little bit easier to cater for, let's say. But to be fair, he was a tent maker by profession, and making tents was how he brought in the few bob. And he made friends with kind of fellow tent makers. Can you remember the name of the lady he met in the purple dye trade? Remember, there was a lady that he had been friends with, and they kind of set up business kind of together for a bit.
I can't, I'm sorry, Father, you have to tell me.
I kind of gave away her name there. I think Lydia was her name.
All right,
Lydia. So like that was the way the early Christian communities, no more than nowadays, people,
help one another out.
Yeah, no more than the supermarket who might like to sponsor us, or that sort of idea.
That's fantastic. It's Super Value, that's fantastic.
So it is great. The gospel, of course, Jesus in his relationship with money, he says, use tainted as it is.
Yes.
So I like that expression, tainted. It's like, and in fact they say it's I don't know how provable, I presume it's provable enough that the larger denominations of notes that you might carry, if you're still using cash, will be tainted with drugs.
Wow.
Like 50s maybe, but certainly hundreds and bigger denominations. It's sort of used. It's just a thing. They analyze these things, they find traces of.
Because people would be.
This is the big sort of money laundering and racketeering and all those things that go with drugs would be big wads of high denomination notes. So they say that if you're handing that kind of money, often, wash your hands or whatever.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
It's kind of scary. So it's when Jesus uses the word tainted. It's very interesting, isn't it, that money is a tainted thing, in that in the end, it's a means to an end rather than an end in itself. That you can.
If sometimes, Father, if it takes you over your mind, and you just kind of sort of worship money rather than,
that's the danger.
And that does happen, I'm afraid.
And you hear people kind of gathering cash and storing it up and hiding it away, and then the mice get to it, or it gets wet, and it's worthless. You can't, if it loses, the serial number is gone, you can't do nothing with it. And that's where that little joke came about the man who wanted to make sure he was looked after in the next life, that he went to his solicitor, he went to the local Garda, and he went to the priest, and he went to each one in turn. He knew he was going to die not long. He said, when I die, I'm giving you this money here, give him each something like 10,000 in cash. Wow. And I want you to put this, make sure I trust you, I want you to be sure to put this in the coffin, so that I have money with me. Put this in the coffin so that I'll have it when I out the other side, you know. So with all solemnity at the wake, you know, the solicitor comes up and 10,000 cash, and there you are, Johnny, that's for yourself. I fulfill the promise I made to you. And next the guard comes up and he puts in the 10,000 cash. Now, Johnny, you're all sorted for the next life. I got the cash. That's when the parish priest comes up with a cheque for 30,000. He says, here you are, Johnny, you can cash that where you're going to. And he takes out the cash. So
that's very funny.
It's not a true story, of course,
No.
but so it's no good. So the message today is lovely. You know, invest in those things that will bring an eternal return, as it were, you know.
But people need money, but they don't. If you kind of put it up there, that's what you're working for, and that's what you really only want in this life is money. It takes your whole life away.
It does. It can be quite a distraction when we're too fixated on it. Is true. But if it's used in the service of a greater good, so like
and feeding and looking after people,
correct,
and all that, you know.
And in your family, Róisín, and you know what I mean, like you're kind of feeding, nurturing, and educating your children.
Yes. Oh yes.
Keeping a warm house and keeping them clothed.
That's it.
That's a terrific investment right there. That's the right use of earnings and money as well. And so many other ways, I'm sure, but always anything by way of charity is certainly good too. And if it were not for that, there's tens of thousands of charities, as far as I know, in Ireland. We're kind of renowned for that. We're awash with them, and you'll start getting all the letters in the door this time of year. I get them all the time too, which is fine. But again, the need is great,
yes, it is.
and it's good to be generous. Of course, the Lord would say to be generous till it hurts. And again, the idea too that if we give from what we have over, it's a matter of justice. But if we give from what we need, that's real charity. That's real giving.
Yes.
So it's quite an examination of conscience to see, well, you know,
I know.
am I
Yes, you
feeling
share
the pinch
what you
with
have
this?
with everybody. You know, it's kind of sorry about it, but you can get kind of carried away if you get stuck. Your mind gets stuck on money. You know, you think, oh my God, how am I going to survive? I haven't got this, that, and the other. You know, it's a crazy thing. So just don't you trust in God? He'll survive. He'll supply you with what you need.
Sure, and why not get involved in some charities such as the St. Vincent de Paul or the Penny Dinners or a hostel for the homeless or something that, you know, reaches out directly to the needy.
Yes.
Some charities it's not easy to know where the funding ends up exactly.
Yes.
It can't always be that. So it's worth actually getting involved, I would say, in a charity to see actually firsthand how it's all been spent.
Brilliant.
And then maybe decide to give.
And the charity shops, Father, I think that was my thing.
That's
Father.
your favourite place to shop.
Yes, absolutely. And you're getting some lovely things, and they are getting the value for what they want.
Correct.
So it's lovely.
From pre-loved articles, you know, pre-loved clothes. So again, another worthwhile consideration, and again, always worth just deliberating a little bit on how the funds are being used, so that they are being used well and to the advantage of those who are to receive them. Really, I know for our part, and you've heard me say this often, anything that comes in here straight back out the door in terms of just meeting our needs here and keeping us on air. So I can certainly vouch for it. But by all means, come and see, come and visit, come and experience what we do, and be assured then that this is all about preaching the gospel.
Absolutely, that's what it's all about. And the amount of people that are listening in now is fantastic.
Thanks be to God, and growing away gently in its own way, and great appreciation coming into. So again, a big thank you, and an assurance that we keep all our benefactors in prayer. Certainly at every Mass here, I'm praying for our benefactors and friends, and for our listeners' intentions all of the time. So grateful. And that's the return and the investment. I hope indeed that you can't really put a price on these things. So very good. So lots more to chat about, lots more to be getting on with. Dermot was certainly in touch with us, trying to looking to explore a bit more the whole question of synodality and that ongoing conversation. We'll certainly keep that on the agenda of items to talk about. and some of the I suppose challenging issues of the teaching of the day. We're seeing a certain amount of that hitting the headlines this past week as well, in terms of the church's moral teaching and how it's conveyed. For myself, just like in a brief sort of minute's worth of summary, I'm not unduly concerned at some of the things that are being speculated about in relation to the synod. And I certainly welcome the idea of the synod, which means journeying in faith. I see the radio as really an instrument of synodality. It doesn't mean that church teaching will necessarily be changed. There are some who would like to see particular moral teachings changed, but the church's teaching remains the same. And this isn't out of any kind of authoritarianism or tyranny, because church teaching in relation to the truth is about what is good for us and for our holiness and ultimately for our sanctification. So it cannot change some of certainly the morality of the church in relation to life and love will always prevail. So I'm not unduly worried about some of these speculative ideas that, doctrine is going to move. There are those who want to change doctrine. They've always been there right from the get-go in the church. So I'm not. We for our part just hold fast to the truth and proclaim it in season and out of season, gently, but with conviction. Amen. So how you preach it is a key
everything, Father,
learning point this past week particularly. It's important to preach the truth well, with conviction and with authority certainly, but with a view to drawing souls to grace and to mercy in the end. Very important. So just a little quick excursion on that line of thinking. We need more time, and we will get more time to talk about these things too as we go on. So Róisín,
that's beautiful, Father.
Comes to an end again.
Yes, time flies by.
So we look forward to Joe and Aisling's return, and we'll get all the lowdown and all the news on their beautiful
away on their honeymoon,
wedding
Father.
day and their honeymoon. And they're probably not listening in, which is fine. Work. Why would you do that? But indeed, a beautiful occasion and lovely joy.
Wonderful couple.
Joy to the church and to the world, and for all of us here too. So very good. Nice to share these things with you. Thank you for your company today. Our time is coming to a close as always. Do please stay with us. And thanks again, Róisín, for joining in the chat.
Oh, that's wonderful, Father. It's just a blessing to be able to do it. Thank you.
Amen. Thanks for that. So drop a comment and a like, a share, follow, subscribe on all our social media as part of this too. And do stay with us now, just coming up to 12 o'clock. And we'll pause for Angelus and midday.